이번 경기가 마지막 경기라면 결승이 마지막이라서 다행이라고 생각하고 있습니다.
꼭 끝에는 좋은 기억으로 남을 수 있도록 꼭 우승하고 싶습니다.
我准备好带领队伍获得胜利。
EDG, the last of the LPL, are headed to their first World Final.
What you call an icon living? Start a record label, Misfits just did it.
Dom1, the new era has well and truly arrived.
Too hot in the business.
对战JglMaister的话，一直以来都想遇到一次吧。
Not the next Faker, Showmaker.
우리가 언더독이냐고 물어보면 그 정도는 아닌 것 같아요. 그만할 것 같은데.
And 5% sends in regards.
서문기어 접으신 확률이 높죠.
我们准备好战胜 DK 了。
I am just an icon living.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the caster desk for the 2021 World Finals. I'm AdYx. I'm proud to be joined by Kobe and Vedius. Gentlemen, it all comes down to this. Finally, 2 first seeds in the final.
And that shining Summoner's Cup in the middle of it all, AdYx drawing everyone's attention. Let's jump right in to the picks and bans. EuNe and Twisted Fate from red side, no surprise here, expect these to remain, but Lee Sin is a big question. I feel like every team that was given Canyon, Lee Sin has regretted it. And what is their final ban going to be? Are they going to cover jungle?
And already, how interesting is this? The Lissandra ban comes out from Dom1 to say, hey, want to ban Lee? We'll take LeBlanc. Oh, you want to remove LeBlanc? We'll take Lee.
This is a trap card. They set up the trap.
They
have
did.
a free ban. They may as well throw it out there. The Lee Sin, as you said, going to be banned away. Obviously, LeBlanc the follow-up, but now what do we do on the other side? Jin's been such high priority. Jarvan's still available as well.
I love the Jin point because it rose to astronomical levels of priority in the T1 DK series, and Ghost showing that he does have other options though, because now Jin taken away, he has gone to the Ziggs, which also gives you long range, safe wave clear, or even the Draven, which I expect a much less chance of because Jin's already decent pick into Draven, so this puts more priority, more crunch time on that. Ziggs possibility, and that kind of loads you up with AP. So the bottom lane, there it is. They don't hesitate with that AP. All right, question answered immediately. Thank you very much.
I really like it, but the whole top lane champion pool is wide open. Both of these top laners love their Jace, love their Graves, and if you've got a Ziggs in the bottom lane, you need tons of AD damage. The lethality becomes all that more valuable. And so now, that Graves or Jace looking real juicy for Dom1.
They certainly do. And Khan Jace would be so big for him in his last professional series.
Oh yeah.
Iconic champion for him, but they're going to go with support down on bottom side, grab that Rakan up very quickly. This has been a super high priority champion as far as the engaged supports go. Yes, there have been more and more enchanters creeping in, but Rakan puts a lot of threat on those, and you can combine with Ziggs for some very surprising kill opportunities as well.
Well, I am a little surprised to see the rise. Of course, if you've looked at Scout's match history, you probably wouldn't be.
It's top of the list.
It is top of the list
But he's played
him.
11 unique champions, Vedi.
Right, but his most played is definitely the Rise, so it's a big comfort pick for him. And when you kind of look at the mid-jungle duo, yes, it can certainly be strong, but picking it into LeBlanc, Showmaker loves this matchup. It was one that he was more than happy to play into Faker himself and was able to get the better of him especially when paired up with the Qiyana. And this is something I'd love to see EDG ban away. I like the Talon ban, but they also need to take Canyon off that Qiyana because of how well it enables the LeBlanc. But then, of course, Xin Zhao still up and available, so you know that Canyon's options are still very, very wide.
Yeah. Big thing for Dom1 is that they have been so flexible, especially Canyon and Showmaker in the champion pools, so they have a lot of confidence in being able to get through the second round of bans here. But I just love that we're still seeing similar trends continue for both of these teams, and EDG have focused very heavily on team fighting and still went with that setup for Jarvan. You mentioned the rise and the possibilities for affecting those side lanes. I want to see the question of Flandre. They already ban out the Kennen here from top side by DK, but if they also leave the Graves up, that feels like a no-brainer with it being picked over and over and over for them.
I really like the Leona removal as well here from Damwon. It is something that Mako did bring out, even though throughout this tournament he has been playing a lot of range supports. Showcasing the Leona was a big answer last week in their semifinals that helped them pull through. But with the cannon gone, with the Gwen still open, it could be an option for Damwon. But when you already have an AP bot side of the map, perhaps EDG is sitting there saying, well, we expect you to do an AD top jungle right now, and that means that Graves should be a pretty solid blind.
Yeah, and so far this draft looks like the meta combined with EDG. It's pretty quintessential right now. But if you look over the other side, Damwon are doing a similar thing to what we saw T1 try to do against EDG in their first matchup, which is probably going to be the Jace, Ziggs, sort of pseudo-poke composition for late game threat around objectives and things like this, as that's Yasuo, so never mind!
Yes!
Never mind! And that's Khan playing Yasuo as well.
Yes, we were looking for the spicy picks.
It happens in game one?
Exactly, we get it in game number 1 here. Definitely will create a volatile top side of the map, and that's one of the two things pulling these two teams in different directions in a lot of cases where EDG is so much focused on Viper on the bottom side, and yet Damwon expected to put a lot of pressure on the top triangle of the map, that mid, jungle, top lane picks. Now they've got Xin, LeBlanc, and Yasuo topside. That is as spicy as you get. Those are very volatile lanes with lots of kill pressure.
And now Mako's looking at one of these engage supports. You guys have already mentioned that we haven't seen him so much on
is
these.
he?
Okay, never mind. We're putting a clock in the bottom lane instead. All right, the spice wasn't reserved just for Damwon. It is, of course, also for EDG as the Zillion is locked in last.
Zillion is so good versus teams that have large amounts of burst damage. And Damwon definitely do have that in spades. They've invested in it. It's going to come down to some very quick timings and quick fingers. Zillion can be a big flop if you don't get it off before the recon engage. It's all about bursting people down before you get that cooldown out, or having good positioning and utilizing the speed to keep your spacing between your carries.
Oh, I'm just so excited about this matchup. First game already, we've got very unique drafts. And gentlemen, this is Khan's first ever professional Yasuo game. Yeah. And it's in the World Finals, potentially his final series. What a time to pull it out.
Perhaps fishing for a world skin, maybe?
We were having a chat about this, weren't we, Kobe? We were wondering whether there was going to be a sneaky Riven game thrown in or something, but instead, he's gone with the Yasuo, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing what he's been cooking up in solo queue and behind the scenes for us, because when Khan debuted, he was all aggression. He was basically a Riven one-trick when he made his debut, which was many years ago now. To come back to his roots here in game 1 of the final is, yep, that takes some stones.
And I love how both teams are making adjustments here. On the other side, EDG taking one of the tools that T1 used against Damwon successfully early on to counter some of the burst options that they had in the Zillion. Now it's about executing, though, and actually piloting that well. They've also invested in stealing away the Jhin from Ghost, and we have seen some very big pick opportunities off of this champion, so we'll see if they can make it happen. So exciting getting into the World Finals here.
Yeah, here we are onto the rift for game number 1 of the 2021 World Championship. Already, I think the teams have delivered these drafts feeling very EDG, feeling very Damwon Kia, and especially the top lane feeling very calm at the moment.
So the first thing I would like to draw our attention to, as we wave at the camera, is Beryl is running Predator on Rakan. He is all about the Rones. It seems like that each Damwon member is taking it in turns as to who will run Predator. Perhaps we'll see a Khan Predator top lane later on in the series. But what is crucial here, and what is something that we need to focus on, is when we saw Showmaker drafting this LeBlanc into the Ryzen in the semifinals, it was constantly attacking that mid lane, looking to shut Scout down. And when you have the Rakan, Xin Zhao, LeBlanc combo, I expect Damwon to be looking to do the same thing again.
And this is them learning off of their series versus T1. One of the ways that you want to try and punish the Zillion pick is either try and go super hard at the Zillion in lane, very weak early laning phase and is much more for scaling, or you just roam heavy. And the Predator is really signaling that, yes, he definitely wants to go roam heavy here. Beryl, I feel like, has really been an underappreciated part of this Damwon lineup since the MSI underperformances from him, but especially this year at Worlds. He has been a integral part of the entire amount of success that they've had here in this big run.
Yeah, and of course, Beryl took that underperformance at MSI and brought it to the summer season as well. It was not a great time for Beryl all the way up until the World Championship. But ladies and gentlemen, we want to hear from you. Use that hashtag Verizon5G all chat, and and let us know how you feel about the World Final. Are these compositions exactly what you wanted to see? Some biffo on the bottom side here. Viper throwing out some bullets. Not quite the fourth one just yet, but EDG with control of the wave.
Now we can see that both junglers are doing opposite paths to one another, with the Xin Zhao starting on the bot side, passing towards top, looking to potentially cover Khan in the event of any early ganks, or perhaps to look for a potential gank themselves. Or meanwhile, JJ starting up on the top side and passing towards bot, where he expects to have prio. With the Jhin and the Zillion, you should have push in the early 2 vs 2, especially against the Ziggs, who doesn't have the strongest wave early on, so he should be able to secure himself that first Scuttle Crab of the game.
Yeah, and exactly. And the reason that EDG went for the deep ward on blue buff and Gromp that you can see right now for Flandre is because you want to get the most out of the early pushing there with Graves. You know you're going to shove lane early, so they've got the early vision here on the blue buff that will expire, knowing that Canyon started bottom side and should be able to play accordingly. Flandre, he's already been able to bounce his wave off of the tower and should be playing around, as Betty has said, the opposite side starts for these junglers.
Yeah, and it looked like that ward didn't quite spot Canyon, but did give them enough information, right? They knew that he hadn't headed towards that blue buff area just yet.
Yeah, it's the process of elimination.
Yeah, right.
Jungle camps early
He cannot be anywhere else.
They're very easy to actually track and coordinate with just one single deep ward. So it will be traded Scuttle Crabs, and as you can see, after bouncing the wave, Flandre playing it much more safe, even stayed up here, lets Khan push back. Thank you, Observer, so much. He's playing around jungle presence. Very big for mid laners to also do this. It's a much less obvious way where they just kind of hover up to the side where their jungler is, but is equally as important, and Showmaker should be able to catch this one.
And as we get close to those first backs, because you can already start to see them come out from a few members, it will be this level 4 from Beryl, where you need to keep track of what he is looking for elsewhere on the map. Because we do know that he loves to roam, we do know that he loves to try and make plays pretty much everywhere that he can on the map, and you only have to look at some of the stats to identify some of those early game plays.
Yeah, I love it. And you can see here, displayed in the graphic, how high of a dual proximity Mako has on the other side. Guess what? With Zillion, that's going to remain very, very high, giving over experience there with the passive. And Barrels is going to be extremely low. We expect a back first purchase of boots so that he can use that Predator to go make that support jungle play early on.
And I really love that Mako is just showing his versatility, right? He basically designed engaged support play over in the LPL and has this Worlds demonstrated that he has a whole nother string to that bow, of course, and has been just playing for so long.
Yes.
Really cool to see.
So many enchanters. He fully embraced the Yuumi meta.
He certainly did.
Bunch of Yuumi there as well, and it does go into this team being so constructed around Viper and Viper's success.
Having a look at Flandre just shoving that wave in once again. Yasuo not exactly having the greatest of times in the early laning phase, but which Yasuo does, you know? The enemy team's Yasuo does.
In the early stages, especially up on top side, is just looking to use the wind wall to avoid damage while still picking up CS. And then you can get some kill threats since you have a Xin Zhao. Once you get post level 6, you've got knockups from Beryl, you've got knockups from Xin. Even later, Ziggs can throw satchel charges and set you up. So they've shown here that they can definitely coordinate towards the later stages. And there's Beryl's first roam. He has his Predator boots, and he just comes over to support Showmaker as Scout and Mako already showing here and shoving the wave in to get first move.
Yeah, feels like a bit of a chess match at the moment. Moving the pieces around, but not actually going for any takes.
I mean, I always love it. The first game of a best of 5, especially finals, there's just so much pressure mounting, even as we have calm trades of CS and the draft kind of plays out as expected. But really for all of these players, as we see Beryl slowly returning to the bottom side, their entire year's worth of work, all of those scrims, all of those solo queue games, all of that practice, all of those reviews are distilled down to this one series, and everything rides on this.
So just a little bit of pressure.
Yeah, you know.
But you're quite right, and you know that in that first game, the person that makes the first play often is not always the one that's best set up for success. So it's about who will strike first, who will be the first to try and mount that lead. Because right now the gold is dead even. It has just been a large part of trading. The CS is even across the board. No early Drakes have been prioritized, but it is this Herald that we have seen be a big part of the first contention. As we are getting closer to that point, we're going to keep track of who looks to move first and these crucial item spikes.
Yeah, JJ on the bottom side of the map at the moment, but as is Canyon. We're 1 minute away from that Herald spawn, like you were talking about, and it's very dark in the bottom side river for Damwon Kia.
Ooh, so they weren't seen walking in, but the moment that control ward drops, Darwin gets information as to where EDG is. Now they're looking to contest this red buff, and because Scout has the push in the mid lane, he will be able to assist. So EDG should be able to secure themselves the first enemy red.
And this is very basic timer control. Here's the Realm Warp, though.
Yeah, let's see whether Ghost can survive this one.